Something extraordinary has happened here with the Audi RS5 and the all-new generation. With the world premiere, we saw comments that people actually love the design. And that is very rare in today's car world, where a lot of manufacturers are launching vehicles which people don't like from design. Right, Ferrari? But here, obviously, Audi nailed it from design. But it's not only about the exterior. Here in our driving review today, interior, technology, launch control, racetrack driving, alpine pass road, and also how does it perform in normal city driving, and is here the new powertrain choice? Is it a good choice? Is it suitable for the racetrack? Or what is it suitable actually for, and how does it sound? Everything of that you need to know here with Thomas Nautical Fuel in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the all-new RS5. Huge single frame grille in the front, high gloss black, and also huge openings. The Audi rings, they are somewhat three-dimensional. You can see here, you can actually grab them a little bit. And they are darkened out in here. I'm not quite sure about this transition here, because either I would put the rings in the grille or on the vehicle, but here they're kind of like in between. Not sure what you think about it. This is here progressive red, this very striking red vehicle, and also important here, the proper, real, old school RS badge in the grille. Audi fans desired to have that, and there you get it again. Then you have the darkened background matrix LED here. The lower part has either this design or in a special Audi Sport Pack it looks a little bit different then, so you can get both designs. Then we have here a length of 4 meters 93 inches. That's a little bit wider actually than the normal A5 model, and you can see you can get it here as the Avant, RS5 Avant, the estate model, but you can also get the, well, they call it sedan, it's right there in the background in green. This is the Sportback. I call it Sportback, they call it sedan. The thing is that with the Audi renaming, this used to be the A4, and then there was the A5 Sportback, and now they merged both models, so to speak. So there's now an RS5 Avant and also an RS5 sedan, which is actually the Sportback. Does it make much sense? Honestly, no. But that's how it is now from the naming. Here you can see also like these additional parts here, everything really wide and strong. Then wheels 20 or 21 inch, these are the larger ones, 21 inch. Performance brakes, option you could also get ceramic brakes, and has this really strong stance but without screaming out too much actually. In the rear, the new light signature here goes all the way across. Here also checkered flag, OLED design in these tail lamps here. That's a very interesting one, and more high gloss black in the lower part, together with this is here the optional sports exhaust, and it's black, otherwise it's dark chrome. And is that a job for the Autoguru fake exhaust, please? Because here the real one is on the inside, the outer one is just the beauty tip. So
you picked the right
yeah, I picked the right shot here today. I mean, we have seen more sinister cases for the fake exhaust police. This here, the air does go through, and it's not like a pure fake exhaust, so maybe that's still okay. Here is the fuel cap on that side, just to show you that, because this one here I have to unlock then actually. So there we go. That's always the case now. There we go. Leah was surprised now. Here is some freshly washed for you. So this then the fuel cap. There we go. And this now getting us to the concept of the vehicle, because when Leah follows me around the other side, then you can actually see that there's this other large cap here, and there we have an AC box for 11 kilowatt AC charging. What's that about? Here, let's take a look under the hood. There we go. Because it is a plug-in hybrid concept, 2.9 liter V6, overall system output of 640 horsepower, 3.6 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. We will test that for you very soon, even a little bit further. There we go. And the classic all-wheel drive distribution, luckily, is 40% in the front, 60 in the rear, up to 85% then in the rear. There's a 22 kilowatt hour net battery. With that, you can also drive fully electric, 80 kilometers, 50 miles. And it is definitely pro and con. And I think this will also be clear then in the driving parts. So pro is they can still offer performance cars here and comply with emission laws and so on. And this will only get even more stricter. You can also drive zero emission maybe around your neighborhood, and especially German RS5 drivers, or maybe even more so in other countries where plug-in hybrids are favored from the taxation. So that means when you have this one as a company car, self-employed, or also when you are in a company where you get a company car, you pay half the taxes per month on this vehicle because it's now a plug-in hybrid. That might be a financial benefit. And of course you get more horsepower and also a quicker acceleration. Now the downside. Of course everything gets more complicated. You know, this 400 volt technology, that is also enabling this rear torque vectoring. But then the big downside is the weight. So this one here as the Avant is almost, a little bit lower than that, almost at 2.4 tons. And the question is, when do you feel that? Do you feel that weight in normal street driving? Do you only feel it at the racetrack? Do you feel it when you're going some nice countryside roads? We'll test it for you today. How do we feel that weight and where does it play a role and where maybe not? But definitely a concept that needs to be discussed, but it's also in the background of modern emission laws than in Europe. Yeah, modern design laws would be a thing. I think Ferrari didn't listen to that, right? Yeah. Welcome to the cockpit of the RS5. In front, of course, the same for the Sportback and the Avant. You have a passenger display like this, where you can follow the route, for example, or do whatever if you like. Here you can see the design, no matter where you look, is always this 80s, 90s grayscale early computer design, and I wonder how that one got through. No idea. And if you want another interesting background, this is not RS5 specific. It counts for all the new Audi models with this system. Then you have to go into the shop and buy a theme for 10 to 40 euros. And why do I keep repeating that? Because it needs to go, either you need to put some themes included and then maybe add 100 more for purchase, but it can't be that you have to purchase a theme if you don't want grayscale. You know, I don't really get that. You pay more than 100,000 euros for this vehicle and then you have to pay 10 euros or more extra. Everyone can afford that who buys this car, yes, but it's more about how to treat the customer, indeed. Then you have this typical new Audi black panel design, how all new Audi interiors look like. Together with Mercedes, they have the big black bezel problem, which customers criticize, so that would be next to fix it actually. By the way, here the animal skin seat is also available with seat ventilation, which is a good thing. Of course, I do favor seat ventilation in general for cars, but it's not very strong. We've been testing that throughout the day, and sometimes the ventilations are so strong that after a while you go from level 3 to 2. But here we went level 3 and it wasn't really enough, so the seat blowing, then the ventilation is not strong enough. Then actually, if it's available in your market, the fabric seat is a better idea to have better passive cooling, better passive comfort in that respect. But then again, Audi won't offer it in North America. Yeah, that's again the seating problem I mentioned earlier. And the main infotainment system, you can see it has this actually cool design here that you can, you know, swipe the car left and right. That's nice. So here you can select the different modes. Also, when you hit the RS button on the steering wheel, you go to RS individual, you can set your own things then, RS Sport, and then it goes to balance again. If you want to get RS Torque rear, have to press OK, not used on public roads, because then the ESC is off. This is completely off, well, almost completely off. There will still be some brake interventions, they said. And with this Torque rear, I can also send then, you know, the car into some kind of drifts and so on. This will be a lot of fun definitely when we are on the racetrack very soon. What was the length again? Do you remember? 4 meters 90 or 193 inches?
It's not the RS3, it's the RS5, yeah.
I mean, yes, I'm a tall guy. 189, 6'2", and that's why I also like to drive like legs a little bit stretched, steering wheel out, but not in an unnatural way. But this is hardly any legroom when someone tall is in the front. And of course, these RS sport seats, they are so voluminous, you know, that they also cause legroom. But astonishing how little legroom and little space you have here. This works still with the headroom. You either get a fixed roof or a glass roof. If you ask that, there's no carbon fiber roof available, by the way. Yeah, about that. But you have some nice 2 USB-C chargers here in the rear. Separate climate unit as well. Lower part, large middle tunnel, of course. Then ISOFIX outer with a nice cover here. There's a nice solution that you can slide them up actually, and then put this one down also with proper cup holders here, 3-dot design, so they didn't do any cost savings there. And this is also a ski hatch, for example. And also the inside of the doors. It's nicely covered on the top part, but also a little bit softened up, conscious. And also then here's this microphone on the inside, and this 3D pattern we find it in the front, in the rear, and also in the new Bentley Continental GT, by the way, in this exact pattern. Launch control. That was 0 to 130. And we're here on a closed circuit in the RS Sport mode with the all-new RS5. And in the RS Sport mode, it already allows me to play a little bit more, but the focus is on good lap times and really that you're very fast. Wow. And I mean, it's a plug-in hybrid, but it still handles in a very agile way. Nevertheless, can't deny physics. It's still almost 2.4 tons. So especially when you have a lot of left and right, then you still feel it. Like a light sports car would feel a little bit differently, but still great acceleration. This electric boost helps a lot. 640 horsepower overall system output. And that of course gives you much more performance than here with that 3.6 seconds, 0 to 100. And now you can also let it fly, accelerate out here. Whoa. Woo. And already at 150 kilometers an hour, whoa, your brain is leaving everything now. That is crazy stuff, man. Wow. Woo. Good grip from these tires. And we have the rear torque vectoring. You feel that? I mean, it's already a long and heavy vehicle, yes, but the rear torque vectoring is very interesting. It basically takes away torque from the one side and adds torque to the other side with an additional electric motor, and that helps me to bring around that rear axle. This is what it can do, and it's interesting because by that the rear axle feels light. Basic all-wheel drive setup is 60-40, 60% in the rear, or 40-60 if you want, so like 40% in the front, 60 in the rear, but up to 85% in the rear. Yeah, and these 2 measures then here, you do feel that you can really get well around these corners, and yeah, it's oh, no, it kind of like, not sure what it did there. I didn't do it. Sorry about that. Yeah, very interesting what it still can do, and even more interesting now, here tire squeaking here, RS Torque rear. This is only for closed circuits because by that also the ESC is switched off. So with the normal RS mode is actually that you are in RS Sport. Now we are with ESC off. And here now it also says that we should switch the gears ourselves, manual mode. This is of course and for most racing fun. And now I feel with the RS Torque mode that you can play around with the car even more. And you can also then here shift down yourself. Yeah, here of course you can get to the lower gears a little bit earlier if you like so. Switch the gear when you want. And the car feels even more loose, especially then here from the rear axle. Lots of waves here in the ground. Wow. Yeah, that is really something. But braking, I mean, it's great braking performance, but there, especially in hard braking, you feel that the brain is leaving your body. Basically here now, you're drifting out of that corner a little bit. It's getting quite loose, but not so much that you would lose control over the car, So safety is still a thing, of course, and it's still an all-wheel drive model. So that way the front wheels also pull you out of the corner, So you can play with the car here. That's the real thing. And the strangest thing about this car basically, but it's actually fun, that you can not only initiate the drift with the throttle, which would be the usual thing actually, but you can also initiate the drift just with turning the steering wheel, So here, like this, you can turn the steering wheel and then you can initiate the drift. That's, there we go. And that's really very unusual. It's almost like these electric go-karts. You maybe seen some reels of these drift karts, but here of course not that extreme. But that's really the interesting thing. You can initiate the drift without braking, without pressing the throttle, just with the steering alone. That is the special thing here about the all-new RS5. And now, it's time for road driving. There was just mild acceleration to 100. Very mild. Dynamic mode is also in most cases, of course, just fine for road driving, right? So I really gotta say that racetrack has worn me out majorly, like a little bit sick. Like, you know, I'm super dizzy, super dizzy. So it took like, you know, like almost like an hour off now to calm down from the racetrack. And that's really the thing. For the taxpayer, it might be a good idea that you have to pay less taxes when you buy a plug-in hybrid. And for road case here, we want to experience that now. Probably you will never even realize that additional weight. Let's see about that. Also what Leah soon thinks about when we go up at this nice alpine pass. But for the racetrack, not a good idea. And the same also accounts for all electric vehicles like the Porsche Taycan GT and stuff. Doesn't make much sense there, right?
Beautiful mountains back, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
So beautiful always, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, we're in the Alps here now in Austria. Such a beautiful atmosphere always. Feel the car's quite loud, isn't it?
Yeah, from underneath.
Yeah. So here 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, and the rolling noise from the tires underneath. It's quite notable, actually. Not so much in the wind noise and so on, but a lot of rolling noise underneath. Not sure if that is really like intended for the RS model or something. But suspension-wise, we have here this 2-valve system. I went back to the balanced mode, and like the brakes are also very aggressive actually. So have to finely tune them actually. But suspension-wise here, when the road is even, normal road driving. It's nice, smooth driving as well. It is sporty, yes, of course, but super smooth. This 2-valve adaptive suspension works in a way that it really extends the span of comfort and sportiness to both sides, you know, and you also feel that you can go to the comfort mode, then it's really like the softer setup. But even in the softer setup,
it's
you know, yeah. And I think, you know, just remember, this does not have a rear axle steering, but you have the rear torque vectoring, which then at some point can have maybe a similar effect. I'm sure if Leah is also feeling that when I'm going.
Yeah.
That even in the.
It's like a rear axle steering.
Yeah, it feels like a rear axle steering, but it's not one. Yeah, that was also something I was suggesting to them. Can't we also use that for parking? You know, they could maybe do this crab mode from the Denza Z9 GT or something. Yeah, maybe that can be planned for the future. But here now, actually, the car plays out its advantages. It's a GT to me, you know, so it doesn't belong to the racetrack. It belongs here on a nice countryside road and soon also to an alpine pass. Let's see about that. Here, the suspension is a good compromise of comfort and sportiness. That's also the thing with the RS models at Audi. They're usually more comfortable in the suspension setup than the respective BMW or the Mercedes AMG models, you know, so because they always set more on the tone, hey, you can still use this car in everyday driving life without losing comfort. You know, you don't have to necessarily go back to an S model only for that. And that is working very well. You know, also when the road is a little bit uneven is no problem. So that's what I love about this vehicle, that it's very balanced in the handling, you know. So you drive it here now, just cross also town, and you would not say, oh, that's so sporty, I'm losing comfort, I can't ride it. No, it could be any other model, and then when you hit the throttle, then it becomes the RS model. And there's always the thing, if you appreciate exactly that, or if you want exactly the opposite, if you also want to, like, you know, be thrown around bumpy side in every driving situation you have, you know, so it's definitely a matter of preference, but I think it's actually a nice approach right here. And saying the comfort mode can really calm you down, you know, so this car can, you know, boost you up, but it can also calm you down on the other hand. So let's sneak into the roundabout here. There you also feel like a little bit of this electric boost then. Here out of the roundabout, yeah, you can directly get a sense of racing again. That's funny, but even more interested, how does it perform on the Alpine roads? And I knew that it was a better idea to leave Leah out of the racetrack because she would have been sick, definitely. Now some nice countryside roads here up to the Großglockner, famous mountain pass in Austria, and this is what the car's made for, you know. This is so cool. It has such a nice balanced feeling here now. This is really like the GT handling I'm expecting actually. And this feels even, we're now in this balanced mode, but even in the comfort mode, that's actually really fine. And you know, even here at like 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour. Yeah, that's so fun. It really handles like it has a rear axle steering without having one. That's really funny and so smooth in these corners, and even when the road is a little bit uneven, evening out very well from suspension. Nice here. Leah, fine or not so? Semi?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not,
it's okay.
But not well.
Okay. So Leah's feeling is on the okay status. Let's see when it gets a little bit tighter there. Of course, we won't be so like exaggerating it like on the racetrack, but at least for me as a driver, this is now the perfect case here. That you can really cruise these, these roads and so on. By the way, here at the moment, it shows me also this EV symbol. It actually drives also very well all electric. Some groundhogs, by the way, in the area here, and you can even accelerate here electric, and then at some point you feel like there's like a resistance in the throttle, and that kind of like says, okay, if you want even more, then you have to push it through, and then the combustion engine would be on. And you can of course always tune that with the driving modes. When you are like in the dynamic mode, for example, then it is directly on. You're also in that S shifting mode, for example. Then when the next village here is passed, then you can also accelerate it out, which should be right now, I guess. Yeah, like now. What the?
Was war das denn?
What was that? Okay. And I had this, maybe remember that racetrack part. We had like, once when I accelerated, I'm not sure if you saw it from the outside, there was once also the thing where, I'm not sure what they did there. But we had the same also when we did one acceleration, when it was fine, like in 9 out of 10 cases, but once also I was accelerating out, and then it did the same. I almost like the car was like not finding the right gear or something.
That's crazy.
I mean, that was like really when I was pushing all the way out, but what was that? But I mean, it couldn't be traction loss. I mean, it is a perfectly dry road, and they have an all-wheel drive. You know, let's try again and see. It was really like with the pin down. Let's see. Yeah, that was beautiful acceleration now to 100. But
what was it before?
I'm not sure what it was, but it wasn't like a single thing. And also, this is a different car than we had on the race. No, like it's not the same car, and it's also an Audi Rs5. But you know, like
same but different.
Yeah, because of the tires, they used one for the racetrack and one here then for the road. Yeah, but so you see, that was not like on the one, because sometimes we experience some things with early built cars that are like really on one car. Yeah, but obviously it's also happening with other cars. Not sure what that is about. Yeah, well, we'll also have some talks with the Audi engineers about that, but it seems to be at least not a single issue, that sometimes the car is, I'm not sure what it actually was. Maybe you have an idea, maybe not sure of the gear to select, I don't know. Yeah, but that's definitely a strange thing to experience. Yeah, here in the dynamic mode, suspension here is a little bit stiffer than again, and this is once again a very nice use case here, because this all leads up to this mountain here. Yeah, sometimes I gotta be extra careful, of course.
Ah, again.
What is that? I mean, I was just like slightly on the throttle, and it goes like. Okay, now I'm a seal. But I mean, seriously, what is that? That's really strange, isn't it? It was like really when I like let go and then
Now it's fine.
now it's fine.
And we are in the dynamic mode.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the comfort mode, maybe, I don't know.
But no, it was in dynamic mode
Yeah.
before. Right? Like, and on the race track wasn't in the RS mode. Let's see, or maybe when on the brakes first.
Fine.
Now it's fine. I know. So you can't really like repeat it or like provoke it intentionally, but that's a strange thing. Or maybe when I'm like in, I don't know. I can't like exactly replicate when it does that, but sometimes it just does it. Well, that's a strange one. So we are always most authentic for you. That's why we always leave everything in the video what actually happens. But we also are fair, and that's why we also give the manufacturers time to respond. And as for this, strange thing that happens with full throttle and it, goes like this, what just happened in the driving review. So Audi actually says that this will be fixed with a software update. It's, has something to do with the gear selection indeed, and that customers, when they order the car, will not experience that. So we have to take this word then for now, and if we can test it maybe again at a later stage, we can confirm this then or not, just to give you the best transparency about this very issue. I think it's very important that they fix it very soon, because it can be kind of tricky, especially when you want to overtake and so on, and then it suddenly stops. But let's hope that it will be then fixed for the customer. And this is here the Sportback or sedan, how they call it. This is also with the Audi Sport package. Then you have a different graphic in the lower front here, and this is also especially with this with a special carbon fiber package as well. The Sportback to me always looks a little bit more striking, but some also just prefer the Avant. The only thing that is maybe not that cool with the Sportback is that it has to get then this additional spoiler lip, and that makes it maybe a little bit less elegant. Yeah, but that's all matter of preference. The cool thing is that it has still this fastback opening. This one starts at 106,000 euros in Germany, the Avant at 108,000 euros. However, with the Audi Sportback, for example, and with some other extras, you can easily pop up some 20,000 euros extra and so on. So with 125,000, 130,000 euros, then you have a fully spec vehicle. And that's of course very, very expensive. Is it worth it? Also in comparison to the S model? Honestly, I have to say no. You'll be happier probably and have the money spent on the S model, because then you save money, already get enough performance. And here we had, on the one hand, a lot of fun, yes, but it's also very high in the weight, and if you expect a very sporty car, you would probably expect less weight. On street driving, you rather do not feel it that much. On racetrack driving, you do feel that very much. I feel, especially after a couple of rounds. However, then the question is how much or how often would you use it on the racetrack? Rather not that often, honestly. So yeah, that's always the question of what do you use that car for. For taxation benefits and for like emissions thing, that's maybe a good thing with the plug-in hybrid. Other than that, if you look at the price or maybe the leasing rates, you'll be also just fine with the S model, honestly. What do you think about it? Tell us in the comments and check out some competitors.